drive. Josh, Jason here. Misty, is there anything that you wanted to ask or address with the board before we get going?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So from attending like the recent board meeting and the subcommittee meeting, and I see it's on the agenda down here, the Jack's Corner update. Just want to say I'm really happy that that area has found a purpose and that it's being addressed. And that also the front large area of the school that had all like the super overgrown weeds and that kind of thing, like taller than most of your student body over there, has been cut down and managed. So thank you for that. It just really makes the area look a lot nicer, and I'm sure that your staff walking in that way feel, you know, a little bit more appreciated in that manner. My only concern about the area of the slab is that it's my perception, I guess, from these meetings that neither the school board nor the administration actually knows who poured the slab, which company or individual actually poured it, so there's like no oversight over it. So my concern is for the safety of that area. Like if you aren't able to know who the person or the company is, what can or what has the board or the administration done to like vet the safety of the area? Or I don't know. I don't have like the background in that kind of thing. So what can y'all do to make sure that that's been done legitimately and
Sure.
Well, so that
Yeah, I'd have to look. I can't remember. It was a person from an actual company. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can take a look.
okay.
So I mean, it was a legit like individual who knows what they were doing that poured it, from my understanding. But I'll figure. I don't know who that is off the top of my head, so I'll take a look.
Great. Thank you. And that's all. Thank you.
I will look into that.
So they cut down the natural prairie flower over there?
Yep, before the winter.
Oh, got it.
Yep.
Okay.
And then a lot of the stuff out front too, just to winterize it basically. All right, you have the bills in front of you there. A lot of the other information's within the drive. I put in there the water storage tank. We had another quote from Nelson. If you wanted to take a look at that. So now we're up to four different quotes, between just replacing the hot water heater tank or installing an on-demand system.
Any more information on the on-demand? Any more take on that as far as?
No, there was one, I can't remember the company that Jimmy told me, there was one company that came out that didn't even want to quote it. Actually, they might be in here, because they just felt like it wasn't going to be.
Area, Helm, Miller, and Nelson.
Area didn't,
Was an area that
they
didn't.
didn't provide
Yeah.
quotes for that.
Yep. So they felt pretty strongly against that. It wouldn't suit our needs, so they didn't even want to quote it.
And when we talked last, I thought we were gonna go back to them and explain to them that the demand calcs and the fixtures over there, because we have showers and that are over there that aren't used.
Yep.
So our demand is not reflective of the fixtures that we have.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, I think they just felt very strongly about the fact that they didn't want to quote it.
Well, it looks like Miller
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
is, the tankless through Miller. It'd actually be cheaper than the quote if we're gonna take the old one out. Cause Jimmy's gonna take that on himself,
Yeah,
so.
and I can talk to him
Yeah,
about that too.
199,000 BTU tankless water heater.
Yep.
It is interesting if you look at Helms versus Nelson. Helms quote is for 4 199 Navian Series 199 tankless, and Nelson's 2. So demand, I think, is they're still not on par with that, but Nelson was quite a bit more expensive.
And that's for a tank. Is that right?
No,
That was for tankless.
yeah,
And what was Miller? The 19, did they clarify how many?
199,000 BTU tankless water heater, dual
Miller
space and
one.
tank. And the demolition of it.
Talking about it, finding out why.
before we vote? If we narrow it down.
Yeah, I would say we just look at, first of all, what the reasoning is for the quantity for, so Helm.
Okay.
Helm has 4.
Yep.
That they're looking to install, where Miller, apparently is 1.
Yeah, it just looks like one.
In there. And then Nelson, who was priced out, but they have 2.
Okay. Yeah, I can have Jim check in on that.
Yeah, I mean, to bid level then, I feel like we really need to get everybody on the same playing field to understand before we make an award.
Sure.
Everybody should bid the same thing, and we should
Yep.
have a good understanding as far as why one feels 4 versus 2 versus whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
You know, what are they using for their design calculation? Cause that might be another situation where
Mm-hmm.
Helm might think that that showers are actually being utilized when they're not.
Right.
And part of it too should be, I mean, the larger demand's gonna be in the kitchen and that probably for the dishwasher. So
Yep, for those.
when we're running that peak,
3-4
how long
hours
does it
a day.
run? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can have him, get some clarifying questions in there. Before we officially do that. Okay, classroom furniture at Willowbrook, we talked a couple, 2-3 months ago, there were 2 things that Jackie was looking for, the sign, which I told her we were working through with the easement, she emailed, Kim Allenbacher emailed the, easement to Josh and I the other day. I did upload that in the folder just to give you an idea. So we were throwing around the idea of the new digital sign here at Willowbrook, as well as, new classroom chairs, since they're the original chairs to the building. It's starting to fall apart a bit, definitely, have been worn over the years. So she'd like to replace, the chairs within the classrooms, and then the ones that are good, hand down to Craig, which makes sense. So her question, when I went to the last PSA meeting, they were going to wait until they got full funds from the Jogathon to award signed chairs or a combination of both half, right? But since it was before the Jogathon, they weren't sure about their financials, so they gave each school $2,500, and then they were gonna circle back once they figured out how much money they earned from the Jogathon. So within the folder there, you can see, pull it up here, the cost for the chairs, since we're kind of putting the sign on hold for now, until we figure out what
Stack
that looks
chairs?
like. Yeah,
400, we need,
yes,
is it every classroom, every chair?
Yep.
Or just what needs replacing?
every classroom, every chair is that
Is
quote.
this the link I sent to Jackie? That where that was from, stack chair?
Possibly, I don't know, I'd have to ask her. So the total on that is $13,549. PSA said that they would pay for half, I believe, which would leave us, responsible for the other half, so $6,500.
67,
Yeah,
yeah.
$6,700. So her question is, you know, are we comfortable paying that before PSA gives us the money? Or do we wanna wait until they have their financials in hand, and then they actually have the money to pay for the half, knowing that they only have the $2,500, right? Or we only have the $2,500, right?
We'll say they need to take the tax off here, cause we're tax exempt, they got $800 of sales tax on here,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that'll help a little bit.
yeah, so 12.
And PSA
12.7.
has plenty of money in the accounts regardless of Jogathon, so
Okay.
I'm okay with going ahead.
Going ahead with it,
There's over 70,000 less than check.
okay.
I'd like to see cash in hand before we do it, but I know Tina's talking about, they do have pretty good balance, I don't think they're gonna not.
No,
I mean, we're
Up and-
post Jogathon, is there any reason we can't just get verification of funds right now? for
We
how much
can,
they have?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say let's just verify. it.
okay,
Plus they're getting,
Doesn't hurt.
they're getting that much or more from the golf outing
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I mean, we could add this to Wednesdays. Votes and pass, you know.
okay, so I will put that on the agenda for approval, and I'll get verification from PSA.
$31, that's great.
What kind of
And
chairs
I-
are
that was-
these? Like the
They're
hard plastic?
molded, yeah, they're
Okay.
molded with a vendor, I think these are the ones that I sent, looked at a bunch of different places, and this is the best place we could get with the highest, poundage rate.
Yeah, 880
pounds per chair, yeah.
Per chair?
Per chair.
That should last a while.
That'll be okay.
Which, that obviously talks about the gauge thickness they've got in the plastic molding, and then the fastening system to be able to support that weight. That's the base thing I was looking for. Because some of those are only like a 300-pound weight capacity.
Yes.
Which, when you're thinking about it, you're like, oh, well, we don't have any 300-pound kids. No, we don't, but the wear and tear, the beat,
Yeah.
and we're using, we have different kids coming in and out all the time.
Well, the ones we have done a nice job, I mean, since
Yeah.
2009, so.
I think that's a pretty good per unit price,
Oh,
especially
it's
the way,
great.
like, schools get.
Yeah, most of them are
From that.
double that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then we'll take the good ones and we'll pass them down to Craig, cause I know he has a need too, so.
Well, we can donate any we want, you know, that we're not gonna use, that's still in somewhat decent shape to Habitat or.
Yep.
Something like that.
Great idea. Okay, awesome. Just wanted to give you an update, and I'll give the full board an update as well, next Wednesday. But, Mr. Carter and I sat down with Val last Thursday, and had a really nice discussion about I skipped one, but I'll go back to that, about Jack's Corner and just kind of what they were looking for, and Val basically said, you know, she's going to be happy with whatever is in the space, the foundation will be happy with whatever's in the space, so it's all kind of like, negotiable is the wrong word, but, you know, she's willing to have conversations about whatever. So we kind of talked through that a little bit, it seemed like it was a really nice conversation, that allowed us to talk through just kind of how we got to where we are, basically. So, the next step will be, bringing to the table Mr. Carter, myself, Val, if she wants somebody from the foundation. I'd like to bring a board member or two in, if anybody's interested in having a conversation before we start putting pen to paper, and then, possibly PSA if they want to be involved as well. So, that'll be the next step.
Did we ever get any clear answers on what the maintenance plan looks like moving forward once that's in place?
So it's what she said at the meeting is what she said at our meeting, which was as long as the foundation's around, she'll take care of it, or the foundation will take care of it, the upkeep of it. The benches and everything that have totes in them, she said they take care of all of that. They look at doing composite for the fence instead of just regular wood, so it lasts a lot longer. If there's anything concrete-wise that needs to be done, she said they'd be willing to do that. So basically, not a dime for us to be spent, and they said they'd upkeep it as long as the foundation's around, and, you know, it's a nice, it looks to be a nice communal space, for us during the school day, and then, you know, if others wanted to use it for, you know, reading or whatever, as a community
We were
space.
looking at doing the bollards outside, right?
The what?
That, yeah,
Bollards.
that is something that we talked about as well, so she's
Just
basically.
because of
what-
location,
Yeah.
traffic, and
Yeah, what it comes down to is she's open to whatever, as far as the conversation is concerned, so, it was nice to just kind of get in there and figure out what happened and what we can do moving forward. So that'll be the next step, is get a couple more people involved to see what that looks like, and then figure out the timeline, which is still, spring is what she's looking for, but if there's anything concrete wise or whatever that might need to be done, then she'd wanna know about that sooner than later. So we'll get a meeting scheduled here within the next month or so, if anybody's willing to sit in on that.
Are we thinking, pylon or the barricades in front of that space?
I think open a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
one thing she had talked about, I thought, was like, what she brought to me was she goes, have you ever seen the big balls at Target?
Oh.
She was presenting, was doing something like that, and then doing like our Prairie Hill Blue.
That would be
They
cool.
would be a little bit,
Yeah.
they'd be smaller in size than
Yeah.
that, but still would have, I thought
That's
that
a
was
good
cool.
idea.
Yeah.
Design wise, that would be
Yeah.
a lot nicer. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So those are all the things that.
I don't know if that's still the plan, but I
Right.
think she mentioned to me a couple months ago.
Yeah,
After one of the board meetings.
And I think those are some of the things that we get hammered out in the next meeting, and get a true timeline, like that would be the idea.
Okay.
So we'll get that scheduled, get that going. Pre-K playground, so, I don't know if you remember or not, but, last year, there was a parent that came to, Mr. Finnegan and myself to talk about the possibility of having, putting together a pre-K playground. In the sense that it's a smaller space, gives, you know, more, like if we put a fence around it or something like that, it gives us the ability to better supervise. We had an incident last year that it was basically, it was the perfect storm. We had enough supervision out there and everything, but, we had a couple kids that decided they wanted to play a game and wander off further than they should have. So, a parent came in and talked to Kevin and I, and I think it's a great idea. She followed up with me, and also followed up with, Kim Hollenbacher last week as well, so I wanted to throw it on here. So it's an idea that I think is a fantastic idea. It's something that I would love to do. It's just a matter of, we gotta figure out what the spacing would be, like would it go on the playground? Would it be behind like, Fisher's classroom and that little area there? There is some natural fencing there that we could probably add on to. And then what does it look like for things for the kids to do? So, you know, we'd have to put some mulch in there, obviously. And the idea that we talked about a little bit, I brought it up to, Lori and Kim at the education meeting, and Kim had mentioned that, you know, she'd love to see the space, but we start small, maybe have a couple things in there, teeter-totter or whatever, and then just add over time, about what that looks like. So, something I think we need to have a real serious conversation about, just where it would go and what the cost would look like. And I think it's a great idea in the sense that, it also allows the pre-Kers to have their own space instead of, you know, we don't, Craig reworked the schedule, so there's really no other grade levels outside with the other grade levels. This year, there's a little bit of overlap, but it's very, very minimal. Whereas last year, there were, grade levels that were out there with other grade levels. So, you know, if the pre-Kers are out there and fourth grade decides to go out there, we're not concerned about safety or anything as far as bigger kids with smaller kids, but it'd just be nice for them to have their own space. So something to think about, something we could, you know, start talking through.
Trying to think of what equipment is on that playground. Is there anything that is really more of a pre-K level than the rest of the upper grades that we could move out of there?
The swings, but all grades use the swings.
They
Yeah.
do.
But I mean, most of the stuff, the pre-Kers can't even reach.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like some stepping things out there and a couple climbing things, but I would say if we're gonna
Pretty
do
well
it,
new
probably
stuff that's
Yeah.
still there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's something I could see PSA donating a lot.
Right.
That would be good too, yeah. And then I brought up to, possibly going and taking a look at, is it Little Red Shed, right? Isn't that what Little
Red
Preschool?
Shed.
Red Shed Preschool.
Red Shed Preschool, World of Dreams, and just kind of see what their spaces look like.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a couple others out there that we could look at and just start there.
They
and-
like to climb, like just stuff
They
to
do.
climb on, that hard plastic stuff.
Yeah,
I can send you over, we're constantly pricing and building gardeners, kitty academies.
Okay.
Kidder Care, Goddard, and they all have their outdoor play sets. So I think Hacienda is the big vendor that provides most of that stuff.
okay,
And I've got quote sheets on that stuff, so I can send it over to you so you get an idea of like, this is what all the pieces run.
that would be great, cause I don't even have an idea about what something like that would cost. I know when I first started, when we put that playground, PSA, that was that 70, 80, was it more than that?
Oh, yeah.
Over 100?
Yeah.
Okay. And it
And
wouldn't be.
we did
expensive.
installation.
What's that?
We did installation.
Right.
We didn't even
That's
pay for it,
crazy.
like,
Yeah.
it would've been way more if we paid for installation. We had the volunteers go out and do it.
The other thing is we do a poured rubber mat, you know, so you go out
Just
there,
gonna say
it's a
That would be great
poured,
too.
that's expensive.
Yeah,
The other way to go around that is to just do recycled, rubber mulch.
okay,
So if we put, in order to do that, you wanna make sure that the perimeter of wherever you're putting that is a solid wall, not like chain link fencing.
okay.
Cause obviously
Go everywhere.
storms and everything
Sure.
else, it'll float with water in that, so you gotta make sure the drainage is underneath, but
Okay,
that's pretty inexpensive. I did that at my own house under our playground.
okay.
Rubber mulch, but.
Be interesting to find out what that,
Poured,
rubberized.
a poured rubber is?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have that quote too, so I can tell you.
is that permeable?
Yeah.
Or is it a runoff, is it?
Nope, it's
sludge?
permeable.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, you put it's got a sand base underneath of it,
Yeah,
and then, and cause we get to, so like anytime you do a commercial development, you have to have so much permeable surface, you know, for stormwater retention and retention and excess, and so that, yeah, it's permeable.
okay.
I like it. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind sending that to me, just so I can wrap my head around it. I appreciate that. Just want to give you an update on snow removal. So we got a quote from, they're both in the folder there. Quote from Aaron's, who's been doing it for the last few years. Still like him. Still think he does a great job, or his company does a great job, but we wanted to reach out and see. Nelson's is another one that we, reached out to and got, and they're quite expensive. And then, we have one more coming from S&H. Yep,
S&H does removal?
they do.
Hmm.
So Jimmy reached out to them and they're working on getting numbers back to us, so. Again, not that we're unhappy with what Aaron's doing, but we wanted to just reach out and see
Yeah.
what people are charging.
I had somebody contact me this weekend and see if we're taking quotes. I said, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, if they reach out, that'd be great. We wanna get that solidified here sooner than later, just the 80-degree day, obviously, it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
seem like it's
Wasn't
too far
concerned.
off, but we'll be seeing it before we know it.
Hey,
There's also
next
executive.
Friday is November 1st.
I
That
know.
puts things in
then
perspective. I was like,
Brian Hansmeyer.
Well,
It's crazy.
Clinton, I think, the guy who reached out to me, I was concerned, I said, this isn't a pickup truck with a
Yeah,
plow on it,
yeah.
like you need a grader or.
Well,
Yeah,
Brian
things
Hans,
off
so
of it.
one thing to consider is Brian Hansmeyer also has the scholarship fund for Honolulu, in memory of his brother Todd.
Okay.
So he's a Honolulu grad, I'm not sure what elementary grades.
I think they were around,
Were they?
but don't quote me. But
He
had his
handles
own-
all my rentals and that, and does my house and that, and they do a good job.
Okay.
who is he with?
Heck no,
Executive.
I'm on my own lawn either. I did it once, it took me 4.5 hours, 5 acres of lawn.
yeah, you gotta take what's
Yeah.
my hourly rate.
Right,
And
you
it pays
gotta
for
figure out
itself.
your value. and
Yeah.
Over there,
Yes.
is where I think he used to live, he sold that. He
Okay.
sold that over here, didn't he?
What's that, I'm sorry?
Hansmeyer. He was right over here off of,
Yeah, he lives, I think he's over in, Lincoln now.
is he?
Okay, yeah.
I can message him right now if you want, I can shoot us a quote.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, that'd be great. And typically, I mean, you can see what the quotes look like, it's, you know, what, 2 to 4 inches, 4 to 6 inches, or however they wanna quote it out.
I'm not
So,
gonna, I'll tell him to break it down based
Give us your
on
best numbers.
sizing and that, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, the other one with, Masons, if you read the fine print there, which may be an automatic out in my opinion, is, they said if it's under 4 inches, then they don't begin until the snowfall has substantially ceased to avoid replowing. It's like, well, we can't operate with 3.5 inches of snow on the ground.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's not gonna work.
No.
So, I mean, that stuff helps us make our decision, obviously, but. it's kind of
How does that work then when the plow has multiple customers? Do we get priority because we are a school?
I think they just, well, we
say you have to have it plowed by certain
yeah,
time?
we typically told, like with Aaron's and then the one before that we ended up moving on from, I can't remember who that was when I first started. But we've had the conversations like Whitecare opens up at 6 o'clock, so you gotta, so typically you'd think they'd start here, but because we have Whitecare over there, they've gotta do that one first and then they come over here. So sometimes it's pushing it a little bit, depending
Yeah.
upon when the snow started falling and whatnot, but yeah, those are just conversations that we have. You know, and then obviously I let them know if we do end up having school or not. That's one thing with Aaron's, it's always funny is he'll shoot me a text a couple days in advance, be like, oh, big storm coming, I'm like, I'll let you know around 4 or 5 AM. But, you know, typically we don't
Well,
close.
so you
like,
don't
as long-
pressure him if it's gonna be closed anyway, you allow him to do that after, what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if it's closed, they can, I mean,
They
we'll
can
still
focus
come
on
in
some of their other
district
clients
office.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're getting hammered.
Right, yep. But it's worked out well and we've gotten that all figured out, so.
It's supposed to be a doozy this year.
That's what I'm hearing, which is weird because there's been no precipitation for weeks now.
Well, it's coming.
Yes.
Enjoy today.
All right, I guess I will. One more thing that just got brought up to me today that's not on the agenda that I just need to give you a quick heads up on. We have an activity fund that Mr. Carter found that's been building up over the years. And we've got a good amount of money in there, just from different things throughout the course of the years. And what he'd like to do is he'd like to take that money and if you remember, we started a literacy task force, which is talking about the different reading things that are happening from the state that they're going to start pushing down to the schools. And we've had really nice conversations within the groups and whatnot. But one of those is a reading series, resource, that sort of thing that focuses on decodables. And we don't have much of that within our book room over at Prairie Hill, so if you'd like to buy a bunch of decodables, to the tune of around $8,500, I'll have the actual number at next Wednesday's meeting. But it's activity account, so it's not district money. It's just been built up over the years, and so the auditor said the best way, like they have no, it's for the kids, right? So we can spend it for the kids. But the activity account that it's in isn't specific to like this Dakota Bowls. So they suggested that we just have a board action to allocate those funds towards this Dakota Bowl and get the actual verbiage of what it needs to be. But they said the safest way to do that would be just to have a board action to be able to buy this through that activity account. So I'd like to put that on there for a motion to buy, and then this'll add a substantial amount of resources for the teachers to use, especially at the younger grades. So we're having a lot of really good luck with this literacy task force. A lot of people are very much on board with it, and we're seeing a lot of really good growth through reading. But you know, we don't want to hinder them obviously and say this is a big part of this reading program that we're trying to kind of adapt to, and not have the resources for them to be able to use. So it's not district funds, it's an activity fund, which looks like default. It's just working on like different reading skills, phonics, that sort of thing.
So it's a book, it's a format?
No, it's a bunch of different, here, let me see if I can pull it up for you.
Just they identify kind of where they are and they have levels.
Correct.
Oh, so it's like a program, it's a web-based type thing?
No, it'll actually be housed in the.
What do we get for $8,500?
Let me pull it up and I'll put it in the folder. Cause Craig just sent me a bunch of stuff this morning, actually. Give me 1 second here. Those chicks are really loud.
I'm sure you're right, it's probably food, when there's
They
somebody in
have
here.
food over there
that-
though, I peeked in on them.
Oh, yeah.
They got a whole bowl full of stuff.
Maybe just want some attention.
Maybe chicks like attention.
Oh, yeah, the cardboard down.
They sure did. It was.
I don't.
My understanding that the Dakota Bowls is, it's almost a system, right, where the RTI.
Yeah,
teachers
so
can
if
go in.
if you think of Fontas to know, like that, it's something along those lines as far as the set's concerned, but it's a different way of looking at, different ways to read.
Okay.
So Just Right Reader is what they're looking at. I'll move this into the folder.
I'm probably on the board, I'm probably the least person who has the most knowledge on that, so, you know.
It's a bunch of different titles of books, that focus around a lot of the new reading skills that
Do
we're
we
looking
get
at as
those
far as
books?
the state's concerned.
That's part of it.
Yes, yep.
And then, you know, our ITI will assess the student and they'll say, this first grader is reading at a, you know, beginning kindergarten plus 1 month standard, right? So
Here's
here,
some remedial books that will
here
help.
are the books in that category that we can start them on to assist them to
Okay.
progress to where they should be. And, I mean, and some go beyond, you know, if you've got a second grader that's reading at a 5th grade level, they're able then to step them up to where they're supposed to be or where they qualify.
Yeah, so I threw the PDF in there that Craig shared with me. And the beauty of that is, yes, it will be used in RTI, but it's also able to be used within the classroom during like, learning center time and you know,
That'd be
that's
nice.
to read. Yep. So it's kind of a,
Where'd you put it?
it's in the folder. It's called Fall 2024 Dakota Bowl
In
Order.
the finance?
No, just in the basic folder. Board folder.
10:30.
Oh, I see.
So if you look at the top there,
Okay, yeah.
that's about the price that he's looking at. And Kim's looking to get some different grants and stuff to get some of those resources that she could add to the book set. But that'll have to be just a separate, reallocation of funds on the agenda.
Not just your Ramona Quimby books.
Oh, no.
They're all age appropriate.
Oh, no, there's a lot more to these.
Ramona Quimby, I love those.
Remember that?
Beezus.
Mm-hmm.
Sister's name was Beezus.
So, and again, like I said, there's a lot of really good momentum happening right now, and we don't wanna stifle that, we don't have to.
Good.
That's really about all I had.
For the salary schedule.
Salaries.
Did we do
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session, discuss, employment appointment matters negotiations.
At 5:05.
Roll call vote.
We will.